Hi, and welcome to the Matching Mom Jeans podcast. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Shelby. I just saw you
And
in person.
I was about to say that. I recently saw you. I
It's
recently
so
saw
wild.
you and your husband and your baby. And my child was very confused about the number of mommies in the room. He
Oh,
kept saying mommy and more mommy.
yep. I love being called more mommy.
He still will pick up the phone and say, more mommy, book, more mommy, and then he'll say your
Oh,
daughter's name, which he says like
I'll
in a
read
weird way,
him little.
regardless.
I'll read him Little Blue Truck anytime he wants me to.
We tried to read that this morning, and he was very unamused at the way I read it. He was like, "This is not how I wanted to do this."
Oh,
I
I'll
don't
read
read it
it
in
to
the
him.
proper. I don't read it in the proper way. But
So if
I
you're
think
hearing the sound of my voice and you don't know what we're talking about, we're identical twin sisters who have um, different numbers of children and live a state and a half away from each other regularly.
yep,
But once a year, sometimes twice a year. This coming year, 2023, we will see each other at least 3 times
I
as
know.
opposed to our normal once a year, because we just have so much excitement going on. Um, but our regular family holiday was in February this year, and it
Which
was
was
so
fun.
fun
It
to
was really fun.
meet in a different place. We went to Asheville, North Carolina, which is beautiful and not somewhere
It
that I
was
thought
pretty.
that I was really that interested in being, but instead really enjoyed it and already think that we should go back and do more stuff there.
I love Asheville. It's beautiful.
It is.
I
It would be
think,
a long, long, long drive for me. So we did fly,
yeah, and
which was
I think we should talk about that.
the
You,
worst flying experience with a baby that we've ever had. And that includes me changing a blowout diaper in an airplane bathroom when she was 3 months old. Like
see,
in the air.
I have never flown commercially with my children. I have never flown
Oh,
commercially as
commercially.
well, my husband's a pilot, so I have flown with my 2 oldest children, but my youngest has never been in a plane, and I think he would kinda love it and kinda hate it at the same time. Like, he would like looking out the window, and he would like seeing the, like, outside of the plane because he loves planes, probably because of his dad, but it I don't think your daughter is so well traveled that like even as miserable as your trip was, I felt like she handled it like a pro.
Oh, she totally did. We had one really bad skipped nap because of our schedule getting messed up. And so by
Valid.
the end of that day, she was done. But honestly, it's not the worst day we've ever had as far as sleep goes. So on the plane, she does really, really well. In the airport, she does really, really well. Now that she can walk independently, um, it's not as fun as it used to be in the airport,
Yeah, she's
because
trying to
now
go
it's like
everywhere.
somehow she's only one toddler, but it's like herding at least 7 cats.
Very real. Very,
Um,
very, very real.
but
Plus,
for the
you also
first
have to herd a
time,
husband, which I even though I haven't
oh
traveled with
my
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 children.
husband herds me.
Oh, there you go. See, there's always one part of the relationship where like my husband and I when we've flown together, like I kind of have to be like, "We're going. We're doing the thing. Come on." Cuz I like to get to my gate and like chill because I have a little bit of anxiety about traveling and I'm always afraid that I'm going to like miss stuff or they're going to like move up my flight by 45 minutes and I'm going to like
Or
miss everything.
reschedule you on a flight 4 hours later because of a
Yeah,
car
so
seat. Ugh.
Tell tell us about how your parental rights were violated.
They were something. Oh my gosh. For the first time, so when we fly, we usually end up at our destination renting a car, which means for as long as my daughter has been in a bucket seat, we have flown with her car seat.
which is
And
fair.
car seats fly free. No matter which airline, no matter what, car seats fly free. That was the first hassle. As I go to check our car seat in, you can either check it in for free at the like check-in counter for customer service where you would check in like a regular bag,
Yeah.
or you can gate check it. Usually we
Okay.
gate check it, but now that we have a much heavier baby
Valid.
and we weren't checking any actual luggage, so we had more carry-on bags than we normally do.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So we tried to just check the car seat. First, the woman at the checkout counter, um, by her own admittance, she was new. She tried to charge me $30 for the car seat.
No,
And I
ma'am.
just kept thinking, I'm like, if this was not my like seventh flight with this car seat, what the heck?
Yeah, you
So
wouldn't even know what your rights were. You would have just paid it.
yeah, I would have paid $30. And I would have been like, well, that sucks. Like, but yeah,
Talk
they fly free.
logically.
And so pointed that out. She looks over to the person next to her and she's like, do car seats fly free? And the guy's like, yeah, always. Well, then she said there was something going on with the printer. And so they didn't print a tag on it, but we were running kind of close on time and have to, go through TSA. And every time we go through TSA, we have a completely different experience,
How does
especially
pause? I have a question. How does an airline justify that their quote printer is broken? Because they
it's
have
not
to print.
broken. It was just being slow, she said.
Who cares, lady?
Well,
I just
that's on me because I should have waited because this comes back into play later. Is
oh
I should have
no.
waited or let her send it to a different printer or whatever because it had to have a bag tag on it. Um so the so we go on through security. She said I said as I was walking away, I was like, "You sure you got it?" And she was like, "Yeah, I got it." I was like, "Okay, it's a car seat. I got to have it on the other end. It's a car
Yeah,
seat.
like
You
which
got
so
it?" And
wait,
she's like, "I'm
so
getting it.
you
It's
had to
printed
leave
now."
so you had to leave the car seat there and put a bag tag on it? Or she was gonna put the bag tag on it?
Yeah, normally every other time we've done it, you set the car seat on the weight plate.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's a car seat. Flies free. They tag it. They hand you the scan copy just like you're checking a bag. So it's got this
Yeah.
big long receipt on it like they always do. Well,
And then you're
I
done. Car seat is done.
yeah, it's 6 a.m. She says she's got it. I walk away.
I would have
We go all the
trusted
way
her.
through security, which is, well, you'd think you could trust the people there. But we go all the way through security, which every time we've ever gone through security with my daughter and her diaper bag is a completely different experience.
Yeah, because you
Um,
never know. People might put bombs in formula.
well, it's not even that. It's just like I know they have to do their jobs. I just wish they would do their job consistently so that you knew what you were expecting. Like, do I take the bottles out of the diaper bag? Do I leave the bottles in? Are you going to have to swipe my hands for explosives? If we don't like one of the formula bottles this time sent my husband through the full body scanner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've never done that before. We always get swiped for explosives. They always swipe my hands. Sometimes they swipe her hands because I'm wearing her through security. That's the best way to get through
Tiny,
security.
tiny baby.
Oh yeah, they've totally swiped her hands before. And so
She's been touching explosives.
we get all the way through security. We get to our gate and we're approached by a gate agent that says they have rescheduled us on the afternoon flight.
What?
And I'm like,
So they didn't even
what?
give you like you didn't even get like past where you should have gotten. Like you weren't even that
There was
how do
no
they justify
intercom.
that?
There was no nothing. Yeah. And they're like, well, your car seat was left down at the desk. I was like,
What?
yeah, with the people who need it. They were like, it didn't
Yeah.
have a bag tag on it. And I was like, she said she was printing one.
She was printing
Like,
the bag tag. That's your job.
it
Why is that?
was
That's
wild.
your job, ma'am.
Yeah.
What were you
It
supposed to
was,
have done? Were you supposed to like print the
well, we
bag tag
needed the
out?
bag tag and their printer wasn't working. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I shouldn't have left it there without a bag tag. But at the same time, I shouldn't have been allowed to leave it there without a bag tag.
But also, I guess okay. I I guess that might track, but it also doesn't track because she had the bag tag. It's not like you were supposed to attach something and you didn't attach it. She was supposed to attach something.
Yeah.
So she is
But
the
I
back,
was,
but
until
you're
they
the
tag
owner
it,
of the
I'm
car.
responsible for it, apparently, even though she'd already taken it to her side of the desk.
See, okay.
And what
That
was
is
crazy was when we got back down there, because we had to go back through security and leave the airport and go to the customer service thing. And when we got down there, it had a tag on it. So it
oh
was like really, really
no.
crazy and stupid. And we got super delayed. And it was just like, why? Like, and it comes down to it being her first day or new day or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just like, this is why I print out the TSA rules for traveling with food and formula and breast milk,
Which
because
I did not
it's
know that you did, but
so
that makes so much
complicated.
sense.
And
It doesn't
my
feel like
husband
it
has a
should be
theory that the flight was overbooked because we live in America. And
complicated.
even though it's public transportation, like the flight was overbooked and they were looking for reasons to like kick people off.
Oh my
And so
gosh,
that
you're
was like an
right.
obvious one.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, yeah. And like didn't even like say anything like you could go get the bag or anything like that. It was you were rescheduled. And so that meant we were leaving later. The whole day was shifted by hours and
Well,
hours.
yeah, not to
It
mention
was
that, but
wild.
it's like 6 a.m. I would have just been an absolute disaster because 6 a.m. is not a time that exists in my world, except for like very specific days.
Yeah.
Like,
So traveling with children is harder than it should be.
but
Partly not because of the child.
I was about to say, I guess my question comes down to like, do you feel like she was even informed, like as part of her training about like child specific things? Or because the day that it happened with you, I was looking on the airline's website and you can't find anything about car seats. Like you can find things about strollers. You can find things like being gate checked. You can find things about you have to buy your own um a child over 2 has to have their own seat. If they're flying on the plane in the car seat by themselves, obviously that's their own
Well,
um
even like the
sorry, I just
rules
picked up.
that are enforced by some airlines but aren't enforced by others, like some airlines, if you are flying with a child on your lap under 2, they will have you bring their birth certificate to
Whoa,
prove
what?
their age.
I would have never thought about that, but I
And so
guess
like we
like
fly with all sorts of things just in case.
so is it did this happen or was this a fever dream where they tried to say that the diapers inside the car seat like cuz you had your car seat in a
Well,
bag, right? To
technically you're
protect
not
it.
supposed to do that. Technically you're not supposed to put anything in the car seat. But
But
it's an
it's
enclosed bag. And so
why are they
and
snooping
only
anyways?
TS yeah, only TSA is supposed to open your bag.
So why
And
are people at the
so
desk looking?
we had some extra diapers in the car
Which
seat.
to me makes sense. Like, why would that? First off, diapers don't weigh hardly anything, so you can't tell me that it's a weight thing. Plus, you
That
weigh
was
the
our
whole
thought, but
bag. Plus, you weigh the
and
whole
we were only
bag,
going
so it's
for a
not like
weekend. So since we were only going for a weekend, we were like, "Oh, we're not going to buy diapers when we get there." So we just put some of the diapers in the bag. Well, then when it got left at the desk cuz she didn't print the tag, they like opened it and they were like, well, technically we could charge you for this because you're using it as a bag, not just a car seat. And so
I
that was
feel
really,
like
really like,
somebody. I don't
because
know. I
there's
feel
lots
like
of
somebody
travel
was watching
accounts
TikTok
online that will say,
to
there's
do
lots of
that.
travel accounts online that will say, like, if you're taking your car seat and you're gate checking it, you can stuff like your child's jacket, like that kind of stuff in
Yeah,
there.
it makes
And as
sense.
long as the airline doesn't have a problem, now you don't need to be banking on that space because the airline is within their rights to say, you need to open this bag, or if they see you putting it in there, tell you that you can't or whatever. But since the rules are so ambiguous, you know, But yeah, so they were like, well, technically she should have just charged you. And I'm like, well, if she would have charged me $30, would she have put the tag on it? Could I have made my flight? Like,
I was about to say, I
now I'm
thought the
like,
fee was the problem, not the free.
yeah. And then, so of course, when they reschedule our flight, they put us in two random seats, which means that my husband and I were not sitting together, which put it on our backs for us to try to find seats that we could sit together by trading with other people. And people just don't want you on the flight. Like, some people are just like really, really not happy that there are babies on the flight, but that is public transportation.
Yeah, and I
Like,
get like we were talking about this with another friend of ours and she was like, "Yeah, but people hate it when you ask." And I get that. I super get it of like there are some people who experience this like feeling of entitlement and they're like, "No, you're a single traveler, so you need to move so that I can sit with my family when I didn't plan ahead." But like there are also situations and I feel like as someone traveling on public transportation, it's an important perspective to keep that like everyone around you is experiencing something out of their control. And so like when I was a single traveler and would travel by myself, like I would look for those people because I didn't care about where I sat, but there were, I mean, I distinctly remember a flight where a woman had 3 children with her. One was a lap child and 2 were sitting next to her, and her husband was on the other end of the plane. And she was like, "We tried as hard as we could to get 2 and 2 so they could split the kids up, and they couldn't." And so it was like either one of her children sits alone or her husband sits alone. And like
well,
that is
and you
bonkers.
say, that you say as a flyer don't care where you sit on the plane, but airlines have made it now to where people do care where they sit on the plane, because in order to pick your seat, you're no longer just assigned
Okay.
seats, you have to pay. So if you paid $17 more to sit on a window and somebody's trying to get you to trade for a middle, of course you don't want to
That's
trade. And
what's
I completely
crazy
understand
because
that.
that's just crazy though that like that feels so exploitive to have to pay to sit certain places because like there's also the factor of like I thought it used to be the kind of myth was that it's about weight distribution throughout the plane, but like now it's about money. And that's so stupid.
Yeah, it's to recoup some of the prices they get when people buy like um, seats on sale and stuff. But so what we do is we will, if we like on this last flight, what happened was we got split up, but we had 4 hours, So we came home back to our house, put our baby down for an early nap, and then my husband got on with the airline, and he got his assigned seat swapped for a middle, and they had assigned me and the baby to an aisle. And so he was like, I will be in a middle, and then whoever is on the end of my aisle will probably be more likely to swap you for your
Yeah.
aisle seat.
Because aisle
And so
seats
that,
aren't this big commodity as much as windows. That's really smart and
well, and you're
strategic.
swapping like for like. And so you're swapping an aisle for an aisle as opposed to swapping a middle for a middle, or a middle for an aisle. And so that has worked for us in the past. Life hack, you heard it here first. But
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Try
yeah,
to
that was
call the airline.
not our favorite. And then, of course, our flight back was miserable for a whole different reason. And that's
Yeah,
because
you
the air
said.
conditioning was out on the back end of the plane.
Oh my gosh. See, that is just wild to me because you're in a small tube. And I would think if the air conditioning's out, is also the like air circulation out? Like that would stress me out a little bit.
I think it has to do with, I mean, like, no, because like air conditioning is different than air circulation, but also it was still working on the front end of the plane. And so I think in theory, it still keeps you to whatever the minimum level of comfort is. But when you're sitting with a 14-month
Squirmy
old
toddler.
baby on your lap and she's trying to sleep, but she's uncomfortable, and you just left somewhere where it was 40 degrees, and so you're wearing a long sleeve t-shirt, and
Oh, yeah.
you're just
It was
straight up
cold. I didn't even think about that.
misery.
See,
Misery.
I cheat because anytime I traveled, and of course, I only ever traveled alone or with my husband, but I always wear a long dress it sucks because a lot of times you don't have pockets, but I'll wear like a hoodie with pockets and then like a long dress. And that way, if it's hot on the flight, I can roll my dress up to like my knees or my thighs. And then I'll like put it back down if it's cold and use it as a blanket. But, you
See,
know,
and I think we just had gotten a little bit complacent with traveling with her because
that's
like the
fair because
first
you've
few
had good
flights dressed
experiences.
in layers and wore the baby wrap instead of the baby carrier so that I could keep her wrapped on my chest even when we were sitting down and like all of these things that you do that are supposed to help. And then this was literally like a hour and a half flight, 2 hour
Yeah.
flight, and then we were at a hop, skip, and a jump, and we were there, and no major layovers or anything like that. And so I think we just thought like, oh yeah, ain't no thing, but it was a thing.
That is really
And
fascinating because I didn't think about that. But you're right. Like, when you first are traveling, like if I was to take my child on a plane right now, because I haven't done it, I think I would over prepare. But once you get used to it, so like the best example for that is that we do car rides constantly. Like my husband has to go out of state with the military to like two different states, or we have to take my stepson back and he's in a different state, or we come and see family members or whatever. And so like even our like hour and a half drive to meet you was something, well, I wasn't prepared for the flight for the drive because I wore my chicken boots and had to get some shoes when I got there because I
yeah,
didn't pack
forgetting
any
your
shoes.
shoes.
That's kind of a big one. But, I think because we travel in the car so much, it's really easy for us to get a little complacent. Like I just yesterday at my consignment sale bought some sunshades because I realized that like over the course of the last almost 2 years, our sunshades have, like, broken down, and so
Oh
I
yeah,
realized, like, when we drove to Asheville that we didn't have any sunshades in the back of the car, and both boys were just miserable because one of them was in the sun the whole time, and so I was like, "This is a
yeah,
really
and it
easy
is
fix," but
miserable.
it's a really easy fix, but you don't think about it when you've kinda gotten used to it. So I could see that almost being the same parallel situation with you and flying is like, you don't think about wearing long sleeves because you're so used to being comfortable on the plane because, well, there's always a discomfort on a plane, but, like, you're so used to being okay that you don't have to put these, like, red light, focus, "Oh my goodness, everything's stressful," kind of. It's almost like that there's a saying in, like, the mental health field that, like, anxiety shouldn't always be shut down because anxiety is what kept people alive for thousands and thousands of years. Like, it is important to be afraid of bears and tigers because bears and tigers will kill you. Like, it's okay
Yeah,
to have an anxiety about being up high because if you fall from a really high place, you're gonna die or get injured. Like, there
a
are
healthy fear of drowning will teach you to swim.
exactly. Like there are important things, important uses for these. And so like, you know, not having that severe anxiety is really good, but having a little bit of anxiety helps you remember all the things you need on a trip.
Yeah, yeah, and having a couple really wild flights ahead of we've got a really really big travel
Yeah,
experience
you're
coming up this
going. It's going to
spring.
be
We're going to Europe
fun.
with a toddler, and
Yeah, that's a
it's a
big
9 hour
undertaking.
flight.
Oh man, that's her whole day.
Well, it's her whole night actually
Oh,
on the
good.
way
You're doing it
there, and then it's
overnight?
it's overnight on the way there, and then it's during the day on the way back.
How are you gonna handle, like, jet lag and things like that? Like, I can't wait to talk to you about this when you get back
Well,
because
yeah, we should probably talk about it when we get back so that I can, not
talk
be one of
about what
those people
actually
that has the
happened.
big, huge plans and then doesn't work out. But we are going to, a week or two before, actually start shifting our schedule.
That's
So we will be
brilliant.
pre jet lagged a couple days at home so that because the time change is 7 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Um, and so I 7, 6, 8, something like that. So if we could
It's
do
around there.
half, if we could do half, then that makes for a couple awkward days at home because you're like,
How many
potentially up in the middle of the
days are
night for no
you gone?
reason.
Is it gonna be one of those where, like, she adjusts and then you have to adjust coming home, like, right after?
Well, we'll be gone for 10 days.
Oh, okay, so that's a good amount of time.
Yeah, yeah. So they say it takes 3 to 4 days to adjust. So there will be
Okay.
some adjustment. But so if we could adjust, you know, pre-adjust and just be off. And we are lucky that she is still kind of bouncing between a 2 nap and 1 nap schedule. That
Yeah.
may seriously help us a lot,
Yeah, because 'cause she's got nap
because we may be able
flexibility.
to roll with the punches there a little bit. Um, and yeah, we're just gonna kind of see how it goes
Well, I'm
because
pretty excited to see how your, like, international customs experience is because I feel like, and knock on wood, I don't wanna jinx you or anything, but I feel like maybe those people have a little bit more training? I don't know, maybe. Do you feel like they do?
I have no
You've flown
idea.
out of the country before.
I've only I haven't continent hopped yet.
Oh,
So
yes.
I have been out of the country, but I've been to, I don't know, have I continent hopped? Where's
Yeah, you went to
Guatemala?
Guatemala. It's not on our
So
continent. I
that's
don't
in
know.
South America. I did not do good in
Is it?
geography in school. I'm an engineer, not a
Is it in
cartographer.
South America, or is it on an island?
They can feel like it's not an island.
Oh, okay. Good. Geography is really, really strong for me as well. Doing great
Oh,
over
that's
here.
so funny. I think it's just Central America, not South America, but still.
Oh, that makes sense. It's
Um,
in the weird mushy part.
the weird mushy part, um, where the food and weather is better.
Exactly. Closer to the
But yeah,
middle.
so we're pretty excited for our trip, but we also have our expectations slightly below the floor,
Yeah, yeah,
just
that's
in
a good one.
case. Yeah.
And print
So
out all of your laws, all of them.
know your rights.
Know your rights. Print them out
Know your
and
rights
laminate
and
them.
pack snacks.
Oh my
That's the
goodness.
only
All the
thing that I
snacks.
know for sure.
Yep. And extra dry formula in the diaper bag.
Well, now that she's over a year, we don't do as much, but we will definitely end up taking some
Yeah.
because if all
It's
else fails,
probably
it's like a
easier to
nice
come by
protein
than
shake.
I was about to say it's probably easier to do that than like milk because milk has to be kept cold.
Especially because she's lactose free. And you can
I
never find
know.
lactose free milk. But wherever there's a Starbucks, they got her. They got her
I was about
back.
to say you should do what I do, which is I pack oats because you can always make oat milk and I can
Oh
always
yeah.
feed that to the kids. Like that's that's my like
We've
go to with
we
travel is
travel
I just
with
pack oats.
like oatmeal, like baby oatmeal that you can just add water to as well because that's super easy. You
Oh,
can
that's a
always
good one.
you can
Yeah.
always find fruit to add to oatmeal. Um and
I'm excited for her to get to try like new foods and stuff. Like you're
yeah.
gonna ruin her on all pasta. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think
breads.
that we're going to have a really 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 it's going to be one of those things where people are like, "Why would you take her? She won't remember it." It's like, "But we will remember it." Like we will
Yeah, that's
remember
fair. Like your
getting to
memories
experience
count.
this together.
Yeah. So we're gonna cross our fingers that you have a better travel time hopping the ocean than you did hopping the state of Tennessee.
There you go.
Because you
Yeah,
just jumped over it. Well, kind of. You didn't really jump over Tennessee. Anyways, you jumped over something. The
jumped
Mississippi
over a
River.
state. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, even with our trip to Asheville, like, traveling wasn't great. But once we get there, she always adjusts really, really well.
Yeah,
And
she
that's
did
what
really
our
well.
hope is for Europe as well, is that she will, like, even if getting there is hard, even if traveling is hard,
Yeah, by
once
the
you get
next
there,
morning, she was like bounced back. She was fine. She wasn't happy when you got to the Airbnb, but she was fine the next morning.
yeah. So, We will have to see. If you don't hear an update on the next couple episodes of the podcast, it's because I'm just not emotionally ready to talk about it yet.
Right. Well, we have a couple. We're gonna put some nice little regular episodes in there, and then I'm gonna have um maybe a friend come on, so I'm not so lonely. I don't have to talk to myself.
Oh, so
Although
you'll have
you gotta
somebody to
admit,
talk to while I'm gone?
yeah, talking to myself might be slightly more interesting for a certain population of audience, but I feel like I could at least find someone to talk to me.
Yeah. I think that'd be great. Get some new voices in
Well,
here, get some other good moms in here.
yeah, I was about to say that. Well, I'm gonna end, and I'm gonna tell you that you're a good mom.
Even though I drag her places and travel with her, I
I
try.
mean,
I try to be a good mom.
I feel like liking your child enough that you want to bring them with you when like you could just like ship them off to a grandmother. Like my husband and I have talked
It's a
about
good
that of like
perspective.
if we went to, you know, a somewhere on a vacation, like there is like a balance of like do we bring the kids for not missing them and enjoying it with them, but or do we enjoy some time by ourselves? And I think there's a
Oh,
balance
yeah.
there.
It's a
But
totally different vibe. Totally
I think
different
you're
vibe.
a good mom though.
I think you're a good mom, even though your son hasn't been on a plane yet. Not like a commercial one, as you said.
One day, one day.
One day he's going to find out that there are commercial planes and he's going to lose his mind.
Yes, he is. They're bigger. They're bigger and louder.
Look how many engines it has.
All right. Bye.
All right.